Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast for the recently deceased. I am Nate Roberts.
I am Rodney Godek. How you doing, Nate?
I'm good. I'm good. It feels like literally yesterday we filmed last week's episode. I do not know what happened to this week. It flew by.
I think I don't. To me, it feels like a lot happened, but that's probably because I met the guys over at the cinema in Rome, and uh, like had another event that occurred whenever I went to go rewatch The Witch.
Oh, nice. I love The Witch. What'd you think?
This was my second. Well, it was my second viewing. In the first viewing, I did not like it. I hated it. But I think I just saw it at the wrong moment. I think my first child was about to be born, so the stuff with the baby just kind of made me uncomfortable and nervous because it's my first child, and any of the baby stuff, I was like, I don't like this. And I just reacted like that, and I shut down more or less after that, and thought it was pretentious.
Right.
So this second viewing, I could have a more mature and measured approach to it, and I was able to appreciate it a whole lot more. So I
Right.
enjoyed it. Yeah, it was great. And I was like, oh, that's where she got so good at chess. She made a deal with the devil.
Yes. Yes. Anya Taylor-Joy, written and directed by Robert Eggers. His breakout film, actually. Who has The Northman in theaters right now, I believe, or next
No, the
week. Next week.
20, yeah, the 21st next
Okay.
week. I told that joke to the guy outside the theater, one of the guys outside the theater who was a regular there. This is my first time at this place. I told him the Queen Gambit joke thing, like the comment. He's like, "Huh?" I was like, "Yeah, Queen's Gambit. Yeah, that's why she's good at chess, because the devil."
It's
And
just the
he's
same
like,
actress.
"Oh, that's her." I'm like, "What the fuck?" I just why do I even bother? Like trying to be a little witty. Ugh.
Yeah.
This dude doesn't get it.
No one's paying
Tool.
attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Episode 17. Superhost and Studio 666. So
It's
super.
alliterative. It's
Yeah.
alliterative.
Yeah. And that's the
17 Superhost Studios
six six
666. There's all
six.
kinds of S's. Cable guy.
Yeah. Well, Norm, you know how we like to have our links or whatever between the movies.
Well, that's what I'm saying it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Aside from the comedy.
it's got to be that because I don't know about the comedy in Superhost. I mean, it was
Ugh.
there were moments I laughed at, but I don't think it should have been billed as a horror comedy.
No, it's bullshit that it was billed as comedy, and it could have been, but they decided, hey, you know what? We actually have a person who's amazing. We're just gonna icebox her for most of the movie, and then you're gonna get a taste of it near the end, and you're gonna want the whole movie to have been her and not these other two fucks.
Exactly. It it was good, and it was all her. Um,
Yeah.
all right, yeah. So let's see. Yeah, I guess let's get right into it. We're gonna talk about Superhost first. So what do we have? We have with their follower count dwindling, travel vloggers Teddy and Claire pivot to creating viral content around their most recent Superhost, Rebecca, who wants more from the duo than a great review. Once again, it's a little weird. Um, that description. I don't know if that's exactly what the movie was. They're trying to make it bigger than it was, I think. Also, this cover art shows Rebecca gone crazy and covered in blood. I would have liked to not know. As I'm watching the
Yeah.
movie, I couldn't help but think, okay, it's called Superhost. She's the host. Then there's the
Mm-hmm.
show, and the show that they run on YouTube is called Superhost. So who goes crazy? If
Right.
if this box art didn't exist or this didn't say Rebecca in the description, I think there actually could have been some mystery there. Like they could have
Well,
they could have faked you out a few times because they did fake you out a few times anyway with Rebecca not actually like attacking at good moments to attack where it turned out to be like a jump scare that turned into a joke or something. Um, lots of not lots, but a handful of fake outs there, and that would have kept you guessing as like, does the girlfriend lose her shit uh because the follower counts keep dropping? Does the boyfriend lose
right.
his shit because she keeps stomping all over him every time he tries have
Yeah.
an opinion. Like
Fucking, I'm
any one of
so
those, yeah,
emasculating.
yeah, it
Yeah.
completely emasculated by the girl. So any one of them could have been the killer, I think, by the end.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the box art and this description give it away. So I will say that that takes away from it. Again, Hollywood, less is more, guy. Less is more.
Yeah.
Less is more. It's the first thing I
Yeah.
learned when I got a big
I
corporate
didn't.
job.
I didn't hold on to that description or the art when I watched it, so it didn't stick with me. I mean, but I guess I kind of also just thought, horror comedy. It doesn't really matter what happens. It's just gonna be fun to watch it unfold. So knowing that I should be enjoying it in a lighthearted way or not taking it too seriously, as like an A24 movie, it's not that. So just have fun and enjoy it. Made me not be so critical. But for sure, both that art and the tag give you too much information that you don't really want. It's unnecessary. So that's
Yeah,
fair.
I mean, the movie's better. Like if you don't know these things,
Well,
definitely.
but I don't know when that turned because you think back if we pulled up Alien or Predator and we read those tags and looked at the box art, all the cool shit that happens in that or what they describe, we would probably love it and be like, yeah, that's I want to see that movie because of how awesome all that sounds.
Well,
I don't know why I feel
it's
differently right now. Is it
it's
different because it's
it
different movies or because I'm
it's
older? I don't know.
it's tough because I mean, Alien in space, no one can hear you scream, and it was a picture of an alien egg, or maybe no, aliens was a picture of an alien egg. I don't remember what the alien picture was. It was definitely just space and the word alien, and I mean that makes you rent the movie. You know nothing.
No. Well, right, and so I'm just saying, in nowadays, if we were to, I'm gonna pull it up while we're talking, but I think it's an interesting thing. What does, if we would feel differently,
Sure. So
uh,
what would Alien's description be? Uh, mining vessel answers distress call to find or to answers distress call and get more than they bargained for.
yeah, yeah, that sounds great. I'm gonna read it now.
Yeah.
So the tag is on there. A crew of a commercial spacecraft encounter a deadly life form after investigating an unknown transmission. So you're kind of close there.
Okay.
They
Well,
talk about deadly life form,
yeah. Well, I mean,
and yeah, the
even that description though is very short, very sweet, and doesn't
yeah,
give much away. It doesn't give
right.
much away.
And the art is still the egg. It is kind of cracked and has like the green ooze. Like
Oh,
I
it is
think
the egg.
in
Okay.
Aliens, I think it's opened up and stuff, or maybe it even has Sigourney on the cover with the fucking gun.
Right.
Don't remember.
Or the
But
cat.
yeah. So anyways, right. Not Church. Different cat.
No.
Can't remember that horror cat.
Oh, church. Yeah, that was a great cat.
Yeah. Gray cat.
Great. It was a black cat. Was it
It was,
black? It was
I, I,
dark.
I want to say it was fucking gray.
Yeah, it
I
was
thought it was
probably
like
a
I thought it was like a Russian
gray. It
blue.
was like gray. Maybe had some stripes, some darker than gray stripes.
We're making it all up.
I know.
All right. Superhost.
Gage was
So,
a great villain.
oh my god. Gage.
Okay,
This
super.
is
Back.
written and directed by Brandon Christensen.
Christensen, who
Or
you might know from Z and Stillborn.
I never
Um,
saw Stillborn.
I didn't see either
Er,
of them. That's
I
why I
don't even
said.
know
That's why I
Z.
said you
Yeah.
might know them from
Oh,
those.
okay. Yeah. And no one's watching Z now. Um, that letter's not allowed. Uh, Zed's dead, baby. So, starring Sarah Canning, uh, Ostrich Chow, and Gracie Gillum.
Yep.
Also has a little cameo with Barbara Crampton, little character role.
Oh yeah,
And
Vera,
right,
the bitch from the south or somewhere.
the bitch from Druden or Drayden, I think they
Oh
call it,
yeah,
whatever,
Draper.
whatever town.
Yeah,
Draper,
Draper,
yes,
the
right.
bitch from Draper.
Because I remember Don Draper thinking in my head and wishing I was watching a John Hamm in anything.
In anything really.
And then the other character credit they have on IMDb is Lou, the the one of the characters who isn't really a
Oh,
character in the thing. Like we'll get to it.
we'll get to it. That's
A
funny that he's
reminder.
credited.
Quick reminder: there are spoilers throughout our conversation here. These are
Right.
fun movies. Go see them before you hear us talk about them, or just listen to us talk, and maybe it'll excite you to go see them.
Don't forget to pound on that subscribe button.
Smash that subscribe.
Ding the
Ring that
bell.
bell.
Ring that bell. The- these are references to the movie.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, travel vloggers, Teddy and
Travel
Claire,
vloggers. My favorite line from
and
the
so
movie. My favorite line from the movie, real quick. I'm not a hero, Claire. I'm a vlogger.
something about it made me feel like I don't know. It was he was real though.
He
He was
was.
as if he acted as if what a real person probably would in that instance.
Yeah, it was amazing when he had the poker and she comes at him and she just knocks the poker away and he just runs away. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's like fight or flight right there. He
Hmm.
totally froze, right?
Yeah. I don't
Um,
remember any other one-liners, but there were funny moments.
it,
We'll get to
it
them
it
though.
had its moments. Okay,
Yeah.
so it starts off. They're losing subscribers and they booked this um, vacation here or at this B&B, and that's what they do. That's what the show Superhost is um, they rate Airbnbs is what it looks like, right?
Yeah, they just do a quick review and talk about all the amenities and whether it's good or bad.
Yeah,
And they've got several. They got over 100 some thousand viewers, but their viewership is going down and dwindling, like as they describe in this. So there's stress and pressure about getting a good episode in.
right. And
And but
this house is special, right?
right, this house has a 4.9 with hundreds of reviews. There's very few people they call the house life changing and amazing and blah blah blah. And so they're like, is it gonna live up to the hype? And find out, you know. And the thing about the show, I kind of liked that, like the this movie began like immediately, where it's like, okay, you're watching an episode of their
Oh,
fucking
they're on
vlog,
YouTube, yeah,
yeah, and it's super annoying as fuck. All the transitions and screen wipes and all this other shit, the text
yeah.
popping on the screen,
Oh yeah.
which we probably will be doing at some point with our shorter videos that we edit, but with the stream, obviously, none of that weird ass shit. Uh, what I was gonna say is that I think that the way that they utilize it and show it, it works, but it kind of they're so involved in the media and always having the camera rolling, and it's such a production, and like how gross it is. They wake up and they look at the phone to check on this or that, and it captures that mania pretty well. Um, but overall, like the way that their descent into what's going to be transpiring, it's just there's something uneven about the tone of the film, and especially by the end, it's similar to what we just watched last week with Night's End. There's cool shit that's going to happen. Why didn't you focus on doing more cool shit? Because it's sort of uneven
Yeah.
throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, because they go from this kind of yeah, the drama between the two
Right.
is like because she is really taking this hard and she's really giving him shit about it and so it opens up with that episode of Superhost and then it cuts and it almost cuts to like reality without
Mm-hmm.
taking the camera shot away, so it's still like through the lens of Superhost. And she's like, "I'm gonna take a shower," and he hears the water come on, and he just calls her name. She doesn't respond, so he turns to the camera and he goes, "I'm gonna secret propose on this getaway." So this is the B plot, right? I'm gonna secret
Right.
propose. Well, really, it's the A plot, and the horror is the B plot, unfortunately. But
No,
I'm gonna secret
that's fair.
propose, and I'm gonna take you guys along with me. I'm gonna film the whole thing, so shh, don't tell anyone, and we'll see you later. And then so obviously he's gonna edit that video later or whatever, because
Well, okay, but that's the other thing. Real quick side note, just to like talk about the breaking of the fourth wall, or not that so much as just like ruining your own structure or the plot holes that would be inherent. there's no fucking way that his girlfriend is not gonna find the video or the portion of what they're recording about him secretly saying, "Hey, we're gonna propose." Like, it's not realistic. I can suspend disbelief, and you have to because
Oh
that's
yeah,
just absurd. You don't get to secretly tell your viewers. You're not doing a stream like we are now, where there could be some people watching and they see it,
yeah.
and it's not captured to be posted. You can believe that, but this you can't believe. You just have to not think about it. And the movie kind of expects you to do that a little bit with some things, which is fine. But this one kind of annoyed me. Uh, but the way that they handle um, the POV for the most part is always from a camera. I want to say, and it doesn't break until the very end during that last part of the third act with the four characters coming together. I'm pretty
Right.
sure because that's then it cuts to like a cinematographer holding the camera and it's pretty clearly different. Where almost before, it's not always POV with the camera like it's not, but it
No, no, no.
feels
It
like it
it
is.
definitely transitions, but yeah, they still keep it. They still try to make it feel like it's
Like a
almost
handy
found like
cam
it's
type thing.
almost found footage
Yes.
until
Yeah.
until the end when you get some real shots. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's weird that it intentionally did that because it didn't add to the plot in any way. It didn't make it a stronger story.
Yeah, it was definitely just like a style decision, I think.
Right. It was such a hard turn though because like it was like, oh, you actually have a good camera, and now it looks like a movie. Like it
Yeah.
more so than it did before. It was weird,
Okay.
but yeah, you're right.
Anyway, so what happens? They travel.
Yeah, they had
They
to. This is I can't remember what town is. It might be Vermont. I don't know, but their place is Colorado. So they're I don't know where the fuck they're at. I
yeah.
can't remember. Huh?
It must have been Colorado then because she said,
Yeah.
"Oh, excuse me." Oh, that's like two. I'm just like I've been. It's been anyway. It's been a
Yeah.
long day.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, but they traveled several hours, and it's a very remote location that this B&B type place is at.
Right, right. They have no service in the house. They have to walk out to the road, and they still drop calls, but they can make calls, and that's important.
Yeah,
It's not
a
as
regular thing. Oh, it's we get it. It's remote. You like, and it's like they always make a thing, and there's always several scenes where it shows, oh, you can only go to this one exact spot to make your call. This is where the signal works. It's fucking hacky. Like everyone's
well.
done that. Like,
It's unfortunate about today's movies because the fact that cell phones exist.
yeah,
Oh, my friend was killed. 911, send help. I'm
yeah,
not. No, I'm not staying here tonight anyway. I don't care if I don't get my deposit back. Like like common sense kicks in and the movie's over. So you have to take the cell phones away somehow. Um, you know,
right. I know.
I just watched a movie where it was a party. Would you rather? And
Yeah,
it was crazy fun. That was a really good movie.
it's a lot
Um,
of fun.
but the first thing they did was take all the cell phones and they like threw them in a safe or whatever. And
Yeah,
so like there you go. No, you don't have to.
yeah. Did you ever
You're not in a dead zone now.
and um and the lead was what was just in the other one that we had just seen.
Brittany Snow.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, she was fantastic.
yeah. It was a really fun movie.
The ending was crazy.
I know it was a perfect ending.
Perfect ending. It was very. It made me feel a lot like the beginning of Midsummer,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
which I loved that movie, but I still think the first 5 minutes is the scariest part.
yeah.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes of Midsummer is fucking terrifying.
I have to rewatch that. That's another one where I was like, I feel like I feel like it is still a little bit pretentious. A lot of the A24 stuff is where it's like, oh, we're important
Uh,
because of whatever. But it's not A24's fault. It's the people that are making their own films. It's just that they're drawn to producing that stuff.
oh, I didn't feel that way at all about Midsummer.
Yeah.
I was hooked. That intro was so impactful.
Hmm.
I was sucked right in.
Yeah. Well, there's all kinds of stuff that I wasn't missing. I don't know. Again, you watch movies sometimes like where you're not thinking about things the right way, and it could just ruin the. You just don't come away with anything. You
Right,
definitely have to
you're in
prepare
the
yourself.
wrong headspace to watch it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
All right,
talking
so
about Superhost.
look, I mean, yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
Uh, right. So the couple shows up at this place. Their code doesn't work. They're
Their
like,
code doesn't work.
WTF?
Yeah.
And so then they come back out to the car
They try to call
and
her. They can't
to
call
call.
her.
And so they're recording second impressions. She's
Right.
holding the camera for Teddy. Claire's holding the camera for Teddy, and she's like, "Come on, do a better line." And he like freezes for a minute. He's like, and he just stares off camera, and she's like, "What?" And she turns around, and there is our super host,
Rebecca.
Rebecca. Yes,
And
which and she's just smiling. Um, how do you describe her expression during these scenes? Because she has this distant,
it,
vacant
it's yeah,
stare.
it's vacant, and that's it. It's almost like, she's obviously mentally ill, and she's holding back the snap, right? She's like, "Oh, I could snap and kill
Yeah,
these two. I could kill them right now, but I
yeah,
won't, and I'll start talking." Like, and it's a long pause, 5 seconds of pause, and like, it makes you feel uncomfortable to like wait for the
right.
dialogue, or what is she gonna do next, and that like look glued on her face. She was excellent in this movie.
What I noticed by the end of it, it almost feels like a newscaster or someone that's in a public speaking or whatever, an interview, and they're processing how they have to respond to the situation or waiting for their turn. And so you don't know when the camera's going to cut off or when the camera's going to be on you. So you just have this happy,
Yeah.
vacant look because you don't know
You just gotta wait for them to
what.
say action, right?
And I feel like she's doing that. She's just like waiting to figure out how am I going to respond to this. I have to just keep this facade until I figure it out. Okay, now I know,
And
and then
now
I'm
I'll
just gonna
talk.
go. And yeah,
Yeah.
she is the star of this movie,
Yes. Absolutely.
and it's unfortunate because she maybe has like 20 minutes of screen time. She
Right.
probably has more, but it's not a lot. And what makes her special is not um utilized at all. It's underutilized for sure in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
once again, like a monster movie or any kind of slow burn, like they spend a lot of time with the story, and that's fine for the most part. But when the climax comes, it comes quick and it finishes, and the credits roll, and you don't get to spend as much time with the villain as you would like. And this film suffered from that a little bit because Rebecca was so good.
well, the thing about it is if they would have just made the I think it's just that she outshines and steals scenes. If the other two leads would have been even halfway fucking decent instead of the goddamn cookie cutter, emotionless, poorly shaped out meat sacks that these other two were, like it just they didn't captivate, especially Claire. She just seemed like she was doing the lines and delivering them, but there was no emotive connection or feel to her character. She was just like the cold
Yeah,
character that you
her
couldn't get
emotion.
into.
Yeah, her emotion
See,
was cold and angry, and
yeah,
that
and you
was
don't
that
get a
was
feel.
it.
You don't care. Yeah,
Yeah, you,
and the way
you
that they're doing the movie, they want you to like get into the relationship and care about the characters. That's what you're doing. You're setting things up so that you have a reason to want them to survive or whatever.
yeah,
And you just don't. You don't give a
yeah.
shit about either
You,
of them. You feel more for him because he's
you
getting beat up on.
yeah, you definitely. I definitely felt a little for Teddy, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, Rebecca, kill these two fucks.
I know
I was just glad to it to be over. Not that the movie was bad. It was okay, but I was glad that Rebecca was killing the two main characters, and I probably
for
shouldn't.
sure.
I probably shouldn't feel that way, right? Like that.
Well, but that's the
Probably
thing. You realize that there's only two characters, so you're like, this is shitty. Like we're gonna be waiting for things to flip and to watch chaos happen, but the stuff leading up to it probably isn't gonna be very good, and it wasn't.
right.
There was a couple cool things, but mostly it wasn't good. It wasn't like it was suspenseful.
The thing with Vera was also pretty not poorly telegraphed, but like just pretty easy to guess. Like as soon as she came and went, I was like, oh, she is definitely getting killed by Rebecca.
Yes, but the twist that they utilize,
The
I
twist,
did not see,
the
which
twist
was
was cool.
fucking really cool. The
Yeah,
twist was really cool.
the twist is really cool, and I love what finally sets her off. And we should probably pause and go back and then come back to this later. Because but this is the best part of the movie is what we're talking about now,
Yeah,
and
right.
we'll get back to it.
Yeah.
Um,
So let's get through all the other bullshit that
all
happens
the
in
other
this.
bullshit. So the toilet's clogged, and Rebecca is so apologetic. She keeps saying, "I don't want you to leave me a bad review."
Mm-hmm.
She'll come back the next day and fix the toilet. The next day she comes and plunges the shit out of it, and she shows her crazy a little bit here. Like
Yeah.
it slips out every once in a while, and it's always when it's like when Teddy notices it. I don't think Claire really ever sees it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think she's off in her own world, worried about the review for the most part.
Yeah, so Teddy kind of notices maybe this woman isn't all there, and that night in bed, Teddy wakes up to some noise, and I think Claire wakes up, or he wakes up Claire. He's like, "Do you hear that? There's someone in the house." She's like, "Go check."
Yeah, right.
She's like, "Go
And
check." She's
he's
like,
not interested. He's a
yeah,"
pussy. Yeah.
but he does. And he walks around the house, and I think you do see a shadow figure in the background
Yeah,
once
in the window.
in the
Right.
window. Yeah,
But
but she
it's
does.
not like you're not on edge. You're
Yeah,
not worried about something really bad happening like you would with a normal, like the movie
right,
like Hush or The Strangers, where there's
right.
house intruder. Like that's heightened
Yeah,
anxiety and everything. This is not that, and you know it's not because of how lighthearted it is with everything else. So you know to not get stressed out. So why not just embrace the madness of it and make it over the top funny or something?
yeah. Well, what happens? It wasn't not funny. I kind of had a chuckle, I guess. So, so Rebecca's insane, obviously, right? And he heard these noises, and he's walking through the house, and he hears the toilet running. So he goes into the bathroom, and obviously there's a second bathroom in the house, so they were just using that one. But as he goes into the bathroom, and he looks into the toilet, and he's got like a grossed out face. He has stick his hand in there, and he slaps a pair of dentures on the sink, and then he washes his hands frantically. So,
Yeah.
all right, so okay, so she's killed people in this house before, and she ended up flushing their dentures down the toilet.
You know, is it? Did you jump right to that?
Oh, that was my first and only thought.
Oh, I didn't. It was like so, like whatever. Like okay, I didn't even bother thinking or like wanting. It was just I thought it was like heightened. I was upset that it wasn't the cat using the bathroom. Like that's what I was wanting. I was like, oh my god, that'd be
Oh,
hilarious. It's
right,
the
right,
cat, and the
because
cat's pissing in the thing, and it's gonna be so funny.
yeah, because
And,
they have the cat room, but they couldn't find the cat.
yeah, and I thought
Yeah,
like, oh my god, the cat sneaks in the house, and it makes sense. That's what they heard, because
right.
what else is making noise then? I guess
Well,
you know
what?
you find out it's her in the
Yeah,
house.
it was her. She came in the middle of the night and fixed the toilet because she couldn't fix it
Right,
during the day because she was so insanely bent out of shape about them giving her a bad review.
right.
Because at this point, I don't think she's decided to kill them. I don't think she even wants to kill them.
No, 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 no. Yeah, she
Yeah,
doesn't. She just
yeah,
wants them to have a good trip and get the fuck out.
and get the fuck out. So so he wakes up again, and this time it's morning. He's in his boxers. He comes downstairs and he hears a noise in the kitchen, and he turns, and she's there whipping up pancake batter.
Hmm.
Um, to which he has a little hissy fit about. He goes back upstairs and complains.
Yeah, he's
Um,
covering himself. He's very embarrassed that
yeah.
she saw him in his boxers, and so he
So,
feels very exposed,
and so
which
this
is
is
atypical, especially with a guy with his physique. Usually, a movie like this would play it up like where he doesn't give a fuck, but
yeah,
like he's that kind of guy, and so I
yeah.
mean, I guess that's
He's
refreshing to see him react in that kind of way where he feels objectified or embarrassed to not be wearing clothes. It's
yeah. It
you
it
subvert
was
expectations a little bit
yeah
there.
yeah. No, it definitely was. It definitely was not how I expected him to react at all. But then again, it made sense for his personality. Like,
Yes,
oh yeah, oh, it totally makes sense for him to act like that. But
right.
I never would have expected it.
Yeah.
Um, so they're eating their pancakes, and Rebecca's not here now, so she just made them breakfast and left. She's not trying to insinuate her way into their life or anything. She's just trying to be a good host. And this is where we get the next level of the creepiness, where they say something, and I forget what they say, and I forget what Rebecca said too. But Rebecca comes over the camera and
Yeah.
and says, "Oh, thanks, guys," or something like that in response to something they said about her cooking. She said they made the best fucking pancakes ever, or something like that.
Right.
Right, and
So
now you're
now
like,
they're clued in. Oh shit! There's a bunch
"Oh,
of Nest cams throughout the
yeah."
house.
Well, they already noticed the cameras, but this is
Right,
the
but
this is the oh shit, they have audio.
right,
Because they're talking about how crazy they think she is while they're eating this breakfast.
right.
And now
And
they got
then
to
they
they got to
realize like, what have we said? Now we have to turn it back and
yeah, now we
be
got to roll
careful.
back and start to be careful because the next video is them, critiquing the host again,
Hmm.
and Claire starts going off about how crazy she is, and Teddy's like, Claire, no, 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 stop filming. Like, we
Yeah.
have to shoot this somewhere else.
Hmm.
Like, if she's really crazy, we are in danger. Stop. Like, so
Right,
he's actively paranoid, and all she cares about is getting this episode in the can to get those subscribers back.
right.
Um,
And yeah, so
yeah. So they go outside, right? And oh no, no, they don't go outside. A rock hits the window.
right. This is where that
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
They
And
run
that was
out.
a pretty good jump scare. I didn't expect a rock to
I
hit the window. It was a good
yeah.
jump scare.
Well, I thought it was her too. Right? I thought it was Rebecca right away. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Because they just talked about how crazy she was, right?
Hmm.
Oh, and he was going up there to disable the camera so that they could
Right.
actually have some
So they could talk.
privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when the rock hit the window. So they
So
go
yeah, the rock
outside.
hits the window and they go outside and it is Barbara Crampton doing her little character role here as Vera. Vera is the super host from their last video who is extremely distraught and pissed because her business has been ruined by the negative review that they posted shortly after their trip or during their trip at her bed and breakfast or her establishment. They ripped her apart. They called her the bitch of Draper, and that Claire just loves keep reiterating that and saying that because and Teddy is like, I don't like that video because it's too negative. It's not the kind of thing that we should be promoting. But she's all about it because it got eyeballs on their page, and that's all
Right,
that she cares about. Whatever she has to do to get the attention and to do the fame, she's gonna do it. So they tear this lady apart, and apparently she's now up here distraught, tracking them down like a psycho because her business is fucking ruined, her livelihood, and she's not thinking straight. She's flipping out. Her mascara's running, and they're almost going at Claire and Teddy. I think she might even push her or whatever. But Rebecca comes
Rebecca
in.
shows up. Yeah.
She shows up and's like, like I'm excited here for this interaction because I know it's like,
Yeah.
oh, she's gonna take care of shit here.
What I really like about this too is how normal Rebecca was at the beginning and how batshit crazy she was at the end. So
Yeah.
like at the beginning, she's even more normal than her normal self, like the actress portrays her. Um, because like the regular Rebecca is like this Rebecca who's kind of hiding this crazy in the back of her mind or whatever. This Rebecca that starts with her
Hmm.
is a normal woman version of Rebecca. Like,
Yes.
yeah, like what's going on here? How can I what's
Yeah. How can I
explain to
help?
me
Yeah.
what can we do? And you don't even feel the crazy at all.
Right.
Because it does because it's kind of explode out of her later.
Right, and I love how she just like explained, like, Vera tries to communicate what's going on, and so and then she's like, "So your solution was to throw a rock at my
My
window?"
window? Cuz yeah.
Huh?
And she's
Weird.
she's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but you don't understand. These people aren't who they say they are."
Yeah. I don't remember how she turns on her, but she more or less
I
tells her to
think
get the fuck in her car, right?
yeah, she's like, "Get the fuck out of here, or I will slice you open."
Yeah.
She just like screams it at her, just out of nowhere, and that was a lot of fun. And she just like turns to the other two with this giant smile.
Yeah.
Uh, I hope this doesn't put a damper on
Oh,
your
good on your
review.
review. Yeah.
She says that 100 times. Um,
Which, in hindsight, it's like she's really laying it on thick. Like she shouldn't worry about the review. She should just worry about like, you know, minimizing any of the big things or like just let's just move things along. Let's not make it a big deal. I'm going to diminish all this stuff. I'll take care of it, but I'm just going to let things happen. Obviously,
right.
you got to react to the Vera stuff, but all the other things, like I think she's too over the top. But I guess she's in panic mode and trying to just she doesn't know how to react, and so she's trying to be over the top and happy because she doesn't know how to be normal because she doesn't do this.
Because she doesn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the lines, just a little backstory. They ask her how she got the house, and when her
Right.
father passed away,
Mm.
her brother, no, the stepmom, got the house in South Carolina, and she got this house.
Right.
Um, and then later they ask, maybe they're just having a conversation. Oh, this was during the interview, so I'll save that for what comes after, what comes next. So there are two
Oh, the
walks. Teddy takes Claire on two walks. The first walk kind of ends with Claire once again just stomping all over Teddy and trying to film something. Then the second walk, she's starting to do the same thing at this beautiful overlook where he's finally ready to propose, and he just takes the camera from her. He's like, "Claire, stop! Claire, stop!" He sets the
yeah, yeah,
camera up. He does his big proposal. She thinks it's a publicity stunt. Oh, secret proposal, what a great idea. She grabs the camera to do like a talking head, and he's like, "No." And she's like, "Oh my God, you were serious. I'm so sorry. I'm just crazy about the show right now. We'll talk about this for real when we get home. Can we just finish this episode?" And
yeah.
they kind of just table it.
Right.
Um,
It's just the worst reaction. I mean, you
oh
feel
yeah.
for him. Uh, it's you kind of don't care. You're just watching it happen. It's not as if everything is done in such a way that you're like it's an impactful moment.
Yeah.
I feel like there could have been more laughs. Her reaction being so callous and not give a fuck about the fact that he just poured his heart open and to propose. That she didn't think that it was for real. She thought it was just for clicks. Uh, they don't play it any funnier than just like us knowing that she is psychotic and out of her mind.
Yeah, yeah,
To
like
not see it. She's
you know,
so
he
detached.
yeah, he did set up the camera. I know, kind of his fault. I mean, honestly, like I didn't even care. Come on, guys.
Yeah. And
With
like,
the,
yeah, it just wasn't funny enough. You're funny. It's funny because of how she's reacting. Um, cynically, you can laugh at
yeah,
that. Like Teddy, this poor bastard, and you're kind of
yeah, he just
taking
keeps,
some enjoyment in how he's so masochistic about things with her. What's he
yeah,
doing?
he just keeps getting shit on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this was actually before the walk, so I think we did skip a beat, unfortunately. But
Which
once
part?
again, I think the interview was first. So
You
we
mean the interview with
with
Rebecca?
Rebecca, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was like one of the yeah. It
So
was early on. It's
so
before this, but it doesn't matter.
they interview Rebecca. Right, it doesn't matter because we're not doing any order, right?
No, it doesn't matter. More or less, at some point they have to have the interview. It might happen before Vera. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, they want to sit her down, so they sit her in front of the nice
Right,
windows, and they are describing it. Claire's gonna watch the camera. Teddy's gonna ask questions, and they just want her to maybe say the question back in the answer.
right,
If
right,
she's asked, "What color shirt do you have on?" instead of saying red, you would say, "My the color of my shirt is red." To
right.
which she says, "My shirt
My
is
shirt is
white."
white.
And they're like, "That was great."
That was a great line. It was a
They're
great
looking
line.
at her. They're looking at each other like, "Is she fucking serious right now?" Like, where's
Yeah,
an
my
example?
shirt is white.
Yeah. And the whole time, anytime she's not talking actively, she has the glazed over,
Yeah,
vacant look, smiling, just looking at the camera, super cheruby cheeks, hair's always up. She's super lovable,
yeah,
fun character.
yeah.
And it's
She's
that twist in her delivery of lines. It's fucking awesome. The timing, her comic timing is great.
yeah, she was fantastic. Okay, So the important dialogue here is best customer. So she tells a story, and she tears up during the story a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But she never breaks the smile. She never looks sad. Besides the fact that she actually, you know, loses a tear here. She says, this old couple, um, Lou and doesn't it does
Betty,
matter.
right?
Betty? Oh yeah, it's right. Her
Betty Lou
username. Yeah, yeah,
52.
yeah. Betty Lou 52. Right. So Betty and Lou, they came and they let her stay with them because they knew she was up here alone with no
Over the
family
holidays,
over the holidays, and
Christmas,
they
New
spent
Year's.
Christmas and New Year's, and we all spent it together, and it was like I was a part of their family. And then she says, but they went back to South Carolina and whatever. Now, it's important to remember the story about the brother getting the house in South Carolina, and this couple was from South Carolina. Okay, so she's obviously lying here. Like, if you didn't already know she was crazy and the villain, if you were somehow lucky enough to not have seen the box art, this is where you would start to get suspicious, more suspicious of her. Uh,
Yeah.
so anyway, fast forward back to the walk where Teddy proposes. When they get back, there is mail, and all the mail is for Betty and Lou. And they're like, Betty and Lou, Betty and Lou. They open the door, they turn left. Her laptop is on the floor, and it's the interview of Rebecca playing,
Hmm.
and they just kind of look at each other and go, "Fuck this, we're out of here." And
Yeah.
they pack their bags, they hop in the car and they go. And this is where I'm like, "Oh, this is getting interesting." They're actually driving in their car. Like
Yeah,
I
they're in
if
their
you
car.
because of the
What's gonna
cameras,
happen?
yeah, there's the
Yeah, what's
cameras
gonna
and the
happen to
because
make
the
it different?
yeah, because of the cameras, I'm like, shit, they're gonna get attacked while they're packing. Like there's no way they make it to this car. I thought it
Yeah.
was going to be the breakfast, to be honest. I was like, oh, they're going to pass out from the breakfast and we'll turn into a torture porn movie.
Oh.
There was lots of
Yeah.
moments where
No.
I was like, where this could have happened. But anyway, I think the point is that she actually doesn't want to kill them until this moment coming up.
Hmm.
So she's standing in the middle of the road on a one way. It looks like maybe it is a long driveway up
Yeah,
to
that's
the
what it
house.
looks like. It's
Um,
weird. There's this earlier in the driveway when they're confronting Vera. It looks like there's a fucking stop sign at the end of the road. Like, whatever. It doesn't make sense. It
It
doesn't
doesn't make
matter.
sense. It's low budge, and
They're out in the middle
they're
of whatever.
using what they have.
Yeah.
Um, so she's like, I got something to show you. Bring your camera. You're gonna love it. It's just real quick. I promise. It'll be the last thing. And you know,
Teddy does not want
Teddy
to.
Teddy's like, no, we're the
No,
fuck
there's no
out
fucking
of
way.
here. And
Claire's like, no, we have to. We need more footage for this review. We
we
have to get some
we need
more.
more footage of her.
Let's yeah, we need
They're
more.
gonna click because
Yeah,
she's crazy.
let's just go. So she convinces them to go, and they follow her while she's walking them into the woods. It's fall. There's
Yep.
leaves on the ground and everything. Uh, she does like a boo scare type thing. Like she turns around real quick and
Oh
like
yeah, this was a good jump scare too, because
yeah, yeah,
you're actually ready for it, or not ready for it, but you're actually anticipating it.
for something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so she jumps in front of the camera. Ah, all right, it's just this way. Come on, I'm just fucking with you. Like,
And that was awesome. Okay, so they come to this clearing, and there's Vera, or we assume Vera, with a bag over her
yeah,
head, tied to a tree, and she's like, "Film this." And Claire and Teddy are freaking out, and she's like, she pulls this knife out, "Film it, or I'll cut her throat."
yeah,
And so Claire starts filming, and she takes the hood off and she starts talking, giving this dialogue about how after Vera's outrage, that moment outside the house, I looked you guys up and you guys aren't who you say that you are, and you cost this woman her income. Isn't that right, Vera? And Vera's just like crying the whole time. And um, I forgot exactly what she said to lead up to this. Do you remember?
no, I don't. I was hoping that you did because you had just seen it a
No.
little while ago.
I
I
remember
can't
the
remember.
beginning of it. I remember that beginning. So anyway, she goes through all that and she does for whatever reason come down on Vera and like stab her in the back is what it looks like, and she just kind of stops moving because she's gagged as well.
Yeah.
And then she there's not much after that, and then I think she just starts laughing, and she takes the gag, and Vera starts moving again, and she takes the gag off, and or it's duct tape, and Vera stands up, and they're both like, "Gotcha, fuckers," and Teddy and Claire are like, "What the fuck? That was so fucked up," and then they start to get another lecture, and it seems to be over. It seems to be
Yeah.
over. All at this moment, Vera probably even feels better about it, and they can all go their separate ways. But Teddy has to open his big fucking mouth, and I think this is also a point to these types of people, right? Is that they can't leave well enough alone, and they have to dig deeper.
Yeah.
And Teddy says, "What happened to Betty and Lou?" And she looks at him and goes, "Oh, Teddy, I thought you almost made it." She says,
Yeah.
You almost made it." And she stabs Vera in the face, and she
Hmm.
after apologizing says, "I'm so sorry I have to do this to you, Vera." And then she
Yeah.
stabs her a ton of times in the stomach, and
Yeah. She's
then
just leaning into it, just a bunch of
yeah,
jabs.
a bunch of jabs. The CG on the face stab was bad, but the practical on everything else was pretty good. Once again, low budge. You work with what you have. Claire and Teddy run back through the woods. They don't know where they're going. They don't know where the house is. They don't know where the car is. Where they come out is closer to the house than the car. I assume they would have to run all the way down this one-way driveway, whatever thing. Who knows how far they
Right.
were driving when they got stopped? So
You
they
probably
just,
see her,
yeah,
so
they decide to go back into the house instead of running to the car.
right.
And Teddy's gonna use the phone and call 911 or whatever, and Claire's gonna investigate the basement while Teddy
Yeah.
keeps an eye on the doors and the
Hmm.
windows. So it's Teddy.
She's
So
gonna see if there's a way out because they can't. Uh, they're like, yeah, they're locked in. There's a few gags that happen eventually here, but yeah,
yeah,
she wants to find another way out,
right.
and
She wants
he's
to
like,
find
"What are you
another.
doing?"
Well, so he does go out to make the call, but then he comes right back, and
Hmm.
she's like, "What happened?" He's like, he's like, "I'm not a hero, Claire. I'm a vlogger." So
Yeah,
he's
he's too
chickened out
chicken
on the
shit.
phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, he chickened out on the phone call. So he's gonna just keep watch. She goes into the basement to look for another way out, and she finds the computer. Oh, she finds a lot of cool stuff. She finds a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Rebecca's been
Her.
living in the basement.
Yeah. Her clothes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a computer
Right.
with a webcam. So she logs in to the
Yeah.
Superhost account right
She
away.
can't help but make a video.
Yeah. She logs into the Superhost account,
She
record.
goes live.
Yeah, she goes live. She says, "Help us! We're trapped. The owner of this house is a maniac. She's a murderer. We're gonna be killed. Please, someone, if you're watching, call for help."
Yep.
Upload.
And
And we know that the
upload.
internet is shitty the
Right.
from the previous movie, so
The
the
whole movie. Yeah. They just,
upload is very very slow.
no.
Um, all of a sudden we see Rebecca behind her. Goes back up to Teddy. Teddy hears a scream. He yells Claire and runs down the stairs. Opens the door to a bloodied up Claire on her stomach with her head pulled up by her hair. Rebecca, like, squatted over her, says something, like, gives him a quick one liner and slices her throat right open. Like, no
Yeah.
hesitation, no anticipation, no tension.
Mm-mm.
This is just a quick, clean kill.
It was great. It was a cool. Like you hated her. You wanted to see
Yeah.
her go. I guess maybe you wanted to see her suffer more, but it
Yeah,
was pretty neat that it was so quick and like usually they would play with them for a while.
right, right. Like that happens in horror movies, but
Right.
not it doesn't really happen in
It's
slashers. And
gonna happen with Teddy, so it's like
yeah.
this the cat and mouse type game usually happens. It just started
Yeah.
here and already she's just got Claire. She's out.
Yeah, so Teddy grabbed the fire poker while he was upstairs. So he holds the fire poker and he's like backing towards the stairs, and she just comes right at him and knocks the fire poker away
Yeah.
and stabs him in the stomach. And he falls back and gets the door closed and locks it because for whatever reason the lock is on his side. That makes no sense, but you do what you got to do.
It's a basement that you have access to, and so it's to the living quarters. So you could see that's you would put it there for
Put it.
rental.
Oh, sure, sure, sure. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right,
Well,
but it
yeah,
means they could have walked into her living quarters at any time throughout this film and just didn't.
yes, right.
Yeah.
Because there was a sign
Uh,
that said "Do not enter," and they made fun of it. That rental places have that storage "Do not enter," and they pretended to go in, ooh, and like they did, like hammed it up for the camera, and then
right,
that's all that they happened. So that's why they didn't go in there. I guess they gave themselves an out. That's why they never went in there
right, exactly.
because there was a sign.
I guess the movie would have been over. Uh,
Yes.
so he gets out of the house. He starts to go down the driveway. She busts out a side panel in the front of the house.
Yeah, this is great because he's like he's gasping. He's like, uh, uh, and he's
Yeah,
just whimpering the whole fucking time. He finally gets out in the house, and yeah, you just see the kind of access hatch on the side underneath the side of the house, underneath one of the fucking porch or whatever, and she's just bunking on it, bumping on it, and she busts out. And she's like, "Oh, hey, Teddy." And she's
right,
just
right. She's
great.
like, "Hey, Teddy." He's got that big smile.
Yeah.
Um, so he runs. He runs down to the car. He's got his phone out. He's trying to unlock it with his phone. Maybe. It
Oh, he's in the
locks.
woods first, and he comes across Lou
Oh,
as he's like
right,
as he's
right.
running, and the cat.
Yeah, and the cat. Yeah, he trips over a body in the woods, and it's Lou and the
Yeah,
cat.
and it's
Yeah.
Lou. Thus, Jeff Butcher's one credit for whatever reason, which is weird as shit.
Yeah.
That's
So
weird.
so he eventually gets to the car. It's locked. He's trying to unlock it with his phone. He hears it unlock, and then he tries to open it, and then it locks,
Yes.
and then he hears it unlock again. He tries to open it, and it locks again. And obviously Rebecca has the key fob,
She's got the
and
key
she's
fob.
fucking with
She's
him.
fucking with him. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she comes up to him and she says you couldn't leave well enough alone. You were almost out. Fucking Betty and Lou. And you know what's funny is the cat fought back harder than they did.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
That was a good line. Then she stabs him, and I don't know if she whispered it or just said it, but she definitely says you were my favorite.
Yeah.
Um, and then she's driving their car with the body
Yeah.
in the back, and then she goes into the basement and she plays the video, and she's starting to get
Yeah,
mad.
she's freaked out.
She's
She's like,
starting,
"Oh fuck, they found
yeah,
out.
she's
People are
playing the video,
seeing that."
and then the live comments are fake. These guys tried this before. Unsubscribe. What a bunch of
Yeah.
crap. There's no way this is real. And she
Yeah.
just smiles, and the
The cat.
audio of it keeps playing while she drags Claire's body across the floor, and credits. Big black screen, Superhost across the screen.
No.
So, overall, I definitely loved like the last 10, 15 minutes of this movie. Characters, the two main characters pretty unlikable. The overall plot, it was flimsy. It got him there. It was enough to justify the style of a lot of POV YouTube video style scenes. Um,
Right.
so I think that's what it was for. Like they wrote they did it. They both did it purposefully, right? They wanted to write it about this YouTube show so that they could shoot it this way because they wanted it to look this way, right? I don't think one was written without the other in mind. They were like, we're gonna make a movie where we shoot, you know, YouTube style,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be a horror movie. And what are they gonna do? Okay, well, it's gonna be a review show where they review Airbnbs. That makes sense. And that's in my mind, they probably built this thing like from the like so they started with the skeleton and then they added the meat, you know.
Yeah,
I don't think they were like, okay, well there's this couple and they might get married. But you know, they didn't start with the characters. The characters came way later, you know.
sure. Yeah, no, it all makes sense. It's just the trouble with it is that I feel, the script isn't great, and the actors between Claire and Teddy were subpar, and then you see Rebecca as being a fucking star and knows how to play this character. Maybe it's because it's a more fun character, but knows how to play it in such a way that it's captivating and very interesting and very fun. So every time she's doing her thing, you just want more of it. And I feel like by the time the filmmakers probably realized what they had in her, they couldn't change any of the other shit and had to just go through the motions of telling this boring fucking story with the other leads, um, to explain why now Rebecca is doing her crazy shit. And it's too bad. Like, I wish they would have realized it, and I wish that they would have had more of her from the start in some kind of fashion. It doesn't make sense with what she did, you know, because she was the guest to Betty and Lou's host, their bed and breakfast. That's
Right.
what she was the one that was staying, and it was over the holidays, and she just ended up killing him for whatever reason because she's psycho. I just wish it was more of her, and so
I
yeah, it was just uneven, and it didn't.
I think it was because they didn't let her live with them. Let her live with them at
Oh,
the
that she
end.
probably
She
said it.
does.
Yeah,
She
probably.
she did reveal it. Yeah, that they didn't. She didn't. They didn't let her stay.
Right,
So she killed
and
them.
she
Yeah.
just she just snapped. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cool story.
Yeah. The
So
story
where are you
was
falling on
good.
this one?
Oh. Okay. I'm gonna have to give it a five.
Okay, I'm giving it a four.
A four.
I think a five's too much for me, so I'm giving it a four.
Okay. Hey, that's good. I think four and five are both pretty good for this movie. It's got a 5.6 on IMDb, which is
Yeah,
actually fairly high for horror.
I know.
Um,
That's why I was like kind of surprised.
well, I do really like her performance. I did almost give it a six. I gotta say, but I after discussing it, I definitely wanted to give it a five. It was too much bad, right?
Yes.
The good was good enough for a six, but there was too much bad and did drag it down, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up there.
Sure, it's fair. I think for me, what brings it right below that point is that, like, I will not recommend this to someone to watch, like, because there's so many other better things to watch.
Right.
If someone, for someone like our crowd, like, wants to, like, I would give them the caveat, like, you'll probably get some enjoyment out of it. She's great, but overall, you're not gonna feel great for having spent your time to watch it.
Right. Yeah, unless it's like someone who owns a Airbnb and loves horror or has a
Right.
YouTube show, loves horror and loves like, character actresses. be like
Mm-hmm.
be like, "Oh, well then maybe you should check out this movie."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Barbara Crampton fanboys.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, Once again, when so even the kills, right? The kill of Teddy was atrocious, just like a waste.
Yeah,
Um,
just nothing really cool or
the
exciting or different.
the Vera kill was overall good, but the that one stab was like very bad
Yeah, the
CG.
very first one. I didn't even know if it was really CG or if it was just a really shitty, obvious puppet that was just over the top,
Oh,
like with the knife. Like I couldn't tell.
yeah. And then the throat slit was also CG, unfortunately. Although it didn't look that bad. Like I did notice it, and I was like, oh, come on. Like
Yeah.
slitting the throat is gotta be easy work. It happens in every horror movie. Why on earth would you CG
Fucking
that?
high schoolers are making home movies that look a million times better than that. So yeah,
Right.
it can be done.
With like a
Even if
wall,
it's your
like a.
first time, you can probably go watch a couple fucking YouTube videos and figure it out.
No, exactly, exactly.
So
All right, to the main event. Um, Studio 666. So before we talk about Studio 666, I should say that I have never ever liked the Foo Fighters.
Really?
In fact, the only song that I even remotely ever enjoyed was the Mentos song, and I only know that because I watched MTV when I was younger. I also never liked Nirvana, so I'm did not come into this movie as a Dave Grohl fan at all, but I left it as a huge Dave Grohl fan. Just because
That's weird.
he just seems so cool.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Dave Grohl would be the reason to watch this. Obviously, if you're a Foo Fighter
yes.
fan, you're gonna enjoy all the other uh, bandmates doing their thing. But it's very clear that Dave Grohl has been in the spotlight enough to know how to interact in front of a camera and play for comedy or not when it's needed, and the bandmates, the rest of the band, do not know at all for the
Well,
most part.
uh, Pat Smear I thought was funny, right? Because he ended up sleeping in the kitchen, and he had a couple good lines. He was also like the most effeminate, or like the scaredy cat of the group when the horror started to happen.
Hmm.
So that I thought he was pretty good. But yeah, for the most part, the rest of the band, like, they had some good one-liners, but they were not delivered well. So unless you're like appreciating dialogue, like, or good jokes, like looking for good jokes, you probably didn't even laugh because of the
Hmm.
delivery.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Studio
You gonna read it?
666. Legendary rock band Foo Fighters move into an Encino mansion steeped in grisly rock and roll history to record their much anticipated 10th album. Before we start, I really loved it. Like, I'm not gonna give it that high of a rating, but for entertainment value, Easter eggs, if you've ever been in the music industry, even sniffed the music industry with like friends who are in it, there are plenty of Easter eggs and terminology, stuff that you'll get that people who don't know probably won't, and it's I thought that stuff was funny. Um, Also a cameo um, from Lionel Richie. That was funny. Um,
That was mm, close to the funniest moment for me.
yeah, but also Carrie King from Slayer was the head of the roadie techs and also the first kill in the movie, which was, well, not the first kill, but the first kill during the Foo Fighters storyline. Um, which was also a funny cameo. People won't recognize, obviously, anyone from Slayer unless you,
Right. I mean,
yeah.
I think the coolest cameo is John Carpenter.
Yeah, there was the John Carpenter uh, cameo, and Jason Trost was also in there as a recorder, as one of the recorders. He was the one with the eye patch.
Hmm.
And then Jenna Ortega, who we keep
Yeah.
talking about, as I mean, she's gonna have a great career in horror if she sticks to it. I know that people in horror probably don't want to be there forever, as we know Samara Weaving left us, and you know
Yes.
she's like actually famous now and probably won't do horror movies anymore, instead of horror famous, right?
Sure.
Um, So that's okay. We'll take Jenna Ortega in her place for the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very beyond tertiary role. It's so insignificant. It's just there. It's a character that is in the story, and so, but it's not much screen time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she must have just done it for fun, I would guess, because by the time
Right.
she was handed the role, I mean,
Right.
she's already known for things, right?
Right.
All right. So the movie starts off with the band in a meeting. Oh no, it starts off with Jenna Ortega crawling
Yeah.
away from her murderer, and she says, "But we finished this, or no, but we did everything you told us to." And then he just smacks her forehead with a hammer.
And then
Then it cuts
bludgeons her
to
repeatedly. Yeah.
yeah. then it cuts to a
Board
meeting room,
pitch
a
meeting,
boardroom,
yeah.
yeah, pitch
Yeah.
meeting with the Foo Fighters and Jeff Garland playing
Hmm.
their agent or manager,
Right.
which there was some funny dialogue here.
Yeah, Jeff
Uh,
Garland's great.
yeah, Jeff Garland's great. The funniest dialogue here I liked was, or I thought was from the late Taylor Hawkins. Um, he uh, he says this album's got to be so good it blows your dick back into your mouth. And Jeff Garland goes, back into your mouth like it was already in your mouth? And then this joke continues. There's like a ton of tags to
He
this
keeps
joke.
trying to figure it out, or like,
Yeah, he goes, I don't think I'd want to buy that album unless it made me a ton of fucking money. Then I'd buy that album. It makes me a ton of fucking money. You blow all the dicks you want.
yeah.
So I mean, so like right off the bat, like you get the Jenna Ortega kill, you get this conference room dialogue that's actually really funny,
Hmm.
and yeah, Dave Grohl's there and he's saying things like, yeah, this album has to have the best sound, has to be the best this, has to be the best that, and um, Jeff Garland has this great idea. He calls his some assistant or someone in the business, Barbara, and she says, "Oh, I know the perfect place. You thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah, okay." So they kind of team up and they send him over to this mansion where this band Dream Widow recorded an album 10 years prior, but I guess they never
Hmm.
finished it, and we'll tell you more about that later. So they're checking it out, and it's a fucking dump, right? Until they get to this one spot in this one room, and this is for drummers. He claps, and you hear the echo, or what they call slapback. And when he hears it, he he immediately knows. He's like, the drums go here. He's like, we'll put the drums here and we'll put the amps over there. And he starts to visualize it, and he can already hear the sounds of
Hmm.
how amazing this room sounds to record in. And he looks at the lady. He says, "We'll take it." and then they start. But he has oh, there's some more good comedy here, where he's like, we should move in and record until the album's done, and they're all like, "You're yeah okay, you're calling my wife." It's like I'll call your wife, you call my wife, and then the other guy's like, somebody's got to call my kids.
This is the scene where they're at the patio table
Yeah,
around the Dorito bags that
yeah,
none of them are eating.
yeah,
The product placement that whoever's funding the fucking movie is like, hey, listen, motherfuckers, put our shit in the movie.
yeah.
It was
The
gross.
the Foo
I get
Fighter
it,
the Foo Fighters
but
will not bow to any sponsor.
right, sure. Except Doritos, and then it's fuck yeah, we'll have Doritos all over our fucking movie.
Well,
And this is the first.
it
They're
was
in the movie
it
several
was
times.
Doritos and Wayne's World as well, right? It was Pizza
Yeah,
Hut,
I know that yeah, Dorito, Pepsi, or whatever. Yeah,
Pepsi, and Nuprin.
it's great.
Little,
Was
yellow, different.
the
Okay, so they
they
start.
meet the neighbor
They meet the
there
neighbor, who's played by Whitney
when
Cummings.
yeah Wendy
Is that
Cummings,
right?
the
Is that right?
gross sleazy older woman comic that's still attractive enough to make sense with the theme of the movie.
Yeah,
Like she's
and
comic relief, obviously. She's a comedian. She's
yeah,
good at what she does, but in this movie, it's like just I don't know. She's a comic relief in the real world sense that isn't a bandmate.
right. Which so she
Although so is Will Forte, really, but whatever. Yeah.
well, Forte was good too. So I like what Whitney sets up here, because she just introduces herself, and so she's obviously like new agey, um, and
Hmm.
the youngest band member, the youngest looking band member, who's the keyboard player, and I swear to,
Rami,
yeah, Rami, is he really a band member or was he an
I don't know.
actor?
I don't know.
Because
I
I
assumed because Dave goes around the table at that first meeting, and he says like
No,
actor, music
yeah,
department
Rami, yeah,
composer.
Rami Jaffe as Rami Jaffe.
Yeah.
So he must be a band member. Okay.
Yeah, he's in all
Uh,
the music videos. But yeah, Dave goes around the table and talks about where the magic for the album is, and he's like, "It's in his head. It's in his head. It's in his head. Him, not so much."
yeah,
It
right.
goes
He's,
to
he's
him.
he's the keyboard player.
Yeah, he's just the guy that gets the shit end of being the bandmate. Like he's just there
right,
for yeah.
right. But he's obviously also like he's not the Tommy Lee of the group, but he's the single guy, right? He's
Right.
like he's in it for the chicks and the drugs, or
Yeah.
whereas
Like he was running one of those
everybody
weird
else is
Wendy's.
married with kids, right? So yeah, so he immediately starts to hit on Whitney, and they hit it off pretty well. Um, so they start to load in, um, and this is where you'll see the wraith of a hand touch some wires, and um, Kerry King from Slayer will look at the wires and be like, "Who the fuck did the cable management?" And he goes in to touch some cables. He gets electrocuted. He starts to fry. Um, Grohl comes in and uh, what's yeah, Jason Trost is gonna like
Mhm.
grab him. He's like, no, he's still hot. He like kicks the plug, and anyway, he's dead. And the band is like, well, that was a quick one. And Dave Grohl's like, no, no, we got to do it in his honor, man. Like we had to stay and finish and
Yeah.
do this thing. Yeah, okay. So they stay. So they stay. And Dave Grohl has writer's block and can't write anything. So we get a lot of time just hanging out with the Foo Fighters and him trying to
Mhm.
write music. He orders some delivery, some Uber, some DoorDash, whatever. Um, it's Will Forte, he's like somebody says like, "Hey man, you want a barbecue?" He's like, "No, I ordered 4 chicken parmesans." And Will Forte is carrying 2 bags with 2 takeout containers in each of them. Like they did not like flub it on the set dressing and stuff like that. Um, so he tries to answer, or so Dave answers the door and he's like, "Did you bring extra ranch?" And Will Forte's like, "Nah." So then Will's like, "Oh, I'll just go back and get some," and he's like, "Sure, sure, great." He's like, but then instead of leaving, he tries to throw I have a band, I have a demo on it, and then he's like closing the door real slow, and Will's like, "Well, I'll just go get that ranch for you," and he just goes, "No thanks, I'll just use the marinara." Like so like some really good comic acting from Grohl, and I think that's what I liked best about the movie. I did watch it twice, practically back to back, um, just because I really wanted to take it all in because I enjoyed it
Mhm.
so much the first time. Um, so some weird stuff starts to happen in the house, right? Grohl starts to see some weird stuff. I think he has a crazy nightmare this night.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and he has that weird Lionel Richie thing where he's like trying to write music and he actually writes hello, and
Mhm.
the ghost of Lionel Richie's like, "Hey fucker, we've all had writer's block, but that's my fucking song. I like that song. I love that song."
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Write your own shit.
Yeah,
And
write
he's
your own
like,
shit.
okay, nerd. He calls him a nerd
Right,
as he
that's
walks
says
by.
nerd as he walks. Yeah, that was just great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Lionel
Um,
Richie was good. I mean, the whole movie is built around just and I guess I didn't even realize it, but most of the other actors are comedic actors. For the most part, are going to be what like kind of carries it from beat to beat and fills in laughs where the band might not be having it the same thing. But for the most part, they're all playing it the right way. It's just not all zingers. They're not all a type jokes. I guess the biggest thing that I think about this movie is it's fucking stretched to for the runtime that it's at. Like
yeah,
uh
hour
it's an hour
46.
46. Like holy fuck.
Yeah,
Like not even an hour 20. You do an hour
yeah,
fucking 20. Are you serious? An hour
yeah.
46?
Yeah, horror comedies historically are 80 to 90. I think this movie could have been a tight 90. They could have easily shaved 15 minutes off. Easily.
Insane. Yeah.
But I mean, but once the crazy stuff happens, and it takes a long time to get there, the crazy stuff goes on for a long time too. So
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, here's the demon, 15 minutes, the movie's over. It's like, no, you just watched 45 minutes of Foo Fighters comedy. Now you're gonna watch an hour of demon shit with the Foo
Hmm.
Fighters. Like it's a it's a long movie.
Yeah, it is.
And
It.
I would say, in a nice and friendly way, because I loved it, that they definitely could have shaved 15 minutes off.
Yeah, it overstayed its welcome, and it's by the end of it, it was sort of like the fucking Lord of the Rings, where okay, it's over. Nope, they're gonna
No,
tie up this
no,
other thing. Nope,
yeah,
no.
there's still more. There's still more, and yeah, and when we get to it, like there was so much death at the end. I did not expect it, which was also nice. A nice, not twist, but just something I didn't see coming.
Hmm.
Um, so he'll make his way, Dave, of course. If I just say he for no reason, I'm talking about Dave Grohl,
Yeah,
because he is on screen in every scene for the most part.
yeah.
He makes his way to the basement where he finds a raccoon, kind of,
This is cool.
yeah, it was like nailed to the wall.
Yeah, almost. It's opened up as if it
Yeah,
was being, it's not taxidermy, like as if it's being
like
fucking,
flayed, but like from the chest down.
like you're in fucking biology
Yeah,
and
there you
you're
go. Right,
dissecting, as if you're
dissecting,
dissecting. The skin is opened up and pinned so that you can
pin back.
inspect all the organs.
Yep.
I half expected them to like do something where like Bradley Cooper's voice comes in and he like acts like the voice of the raccoon or something, to sort of reference fucking MCU. Obviously, that's a. I kept wanting to bring other movies in to be as fucking two things. I'm bringing up goddamn Meet the Parents for the fucking cat peeing in the toilet, and now I
Right.
wanted this to turn into a goddamn Bradley Cooper talking raccoon. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
something wrong with me.
we've had a difficult time staying on topic tonight, but it's okay. That's why we're here.
For me, these movies weren't amazing, and so any little distraction to talk about something more fun, I take. I'm
All
sorry.
right. I'm sorry you didn't love Studio 666, but
No, it's okay. I enjoyed some of these moments. It's just I
yeah,
didn't care.
yeah. I just loved this movie. Anyway, so he's in the basement. He looks at the blood trail. It goes all the way down from the raccoon, but he doesn't think anything of it at this moment. But it will be important later. He finds a reel-to-reel audio machine,
Hmm.
and he starts digging around and he finds a reel. He puts it up. He plays it, and that song plays. And this song
Yeah, it's got a
is the
sweet
song.
drums. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. And so, little sidebar, real quick. The Foo Fighters put out the Dream Widow album. So the band Dream Widow, the album they were recording in the fake storyline 10 years prior, is the album the Foo Fighters just released as Dream Widow. It's fucking awesome. Dream Widow, it's just Foo Fighters playing metal, and it's an awesome album. I've listened to it front to back a couple times. I'll probably buy it on vinyl if it gets pressed. It's also Taylor Hawkins' last record, as far as we know, unless the Foo
Hmm.
Fighters had some stuff in the can that's yet to
Yeah,
be
there must be
released.
some posthumously released
Yeah.
material for sure.
So definitely listen to it on podcast on Spotify if you get a chance, and I'm gonna own a copy of it myself. So this track plays, and this track is the center of the movie, and he gets like spirit blown into his chest, knocked back to the wall, sparks fly, and when he comes to, he kind of robotically leaves the room or leaves the basement to bump into Pat Smear with a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos. to, to which he closes the door and doesn't let Pat in, but he goes, "Dead raccoon in there." And then he smacks the bag of Doritos out of his hand and stomps on him as he walks by. And Pat Smear's like, "Dick."
Yeah.
So some more just great comedy. Like there's some excellent moments in this movie. All right. So now Dave Grohl's infected or possessed or whatever, what you have it. He
Hmm.
gets the band together and he plays the riff and the band is fucking stoked. and they start to record, but he becomes obsessed with finishing the song, finishing the song, finishing the song. And as things get revealed, it's like he shouldn't finish the song. If he does finish the song, maybe something bad's gonna happen. The demon wants him to finish the song, and you're kind of getting that vibe. Um, he's now only eating raw meat,
Hmm.
which is funny. Um, and also that we're gonna come back to that later, this movie pays some serious attention to detail too. Um, he sees at some point too. This is before he found the basement. He saw a gardener kind of disappear, and he asked the neighbor if there was a gardener, and she's like, "No, Dave, no one's lived here for 10 years."
Hmm.
All spookily. Um, so Dave orders a bunch of steaks, and it's Will Forte. This time he has the demo. He's brought the demo, and
I can't
and
remember his name.
he brought a ton of ranch. He just brought a ton of extra ranch, and uh, and the gardener kind of shows up behind him. Will Forte thinks it's Dave, so he follows him and gets gutted real quick in a slasher style kill and then screen cut, smash cut is what they call it.
Yeah, but don't they show the shears and the head and everything too?
Oh, do they? Oh, do they for this? Oh, yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah, because he holds
Yeah,
up the head and it kind of throws it, right?
yeah. All right, so it's not a smash cut kill. There is one of those in this movie, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to wonder if it was one of the bandmates when it gets to it.
Yeah, I think it was. No, no, because the other one he cooks on. Well, whatever. We'll get to it because, all right, so good practical effects on the body,
Hmm.
bad CG on the head roll, and then amazing practical when he's holding the head.
Yeah,
So it was just the actual cut that was bad CG. All the other practical good. And you're going to notice that through this whole movie is that the CG is a little bad, mostly bad, uh, and cheesy, but it's also very, very short. And all of the practical effects in this movie are fucking amazing. And
yeah,
they spared no expense on these practical effects. I loved all the kills in this movie. Um, in fact, that Will Forte kill was probably the weakest one.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, the electrocution might have been weakest.
Oh, the electrocution, sure. Well, they
This,
did a
this,
really good job on the skin bubbles. Like the
yeah,
skin
skin
makeup
bubbles,
was.
but the blue fucking
Oh yeah, the '80s style, like
the
Ghostbusters
glowing blue.
style.
It's
The
funny, yeah, but
Yeah,
it's like
it's
I'm
like
rolling my eyes.
yeah, right out of Terminator, like when he
Yeah,
teleports in.
right, exactly. It's just it's too over
Yeah.
the top, and it's not that kind of a movie. It's like I roll my eyes at it. It's fine, but I'm rolling my eyes.
All right, so they'll continue recording. He'll continue writing. The song is now 11 minutes, 13 minutes, and
Yeah.
every time they come back to the room, it's like 25 minutes, 23 minutes. Eventually, it gets up to like 44 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
um,
They keep asking like, oh yeah, I guess it's
yeah, you
normal.
gonna let's just
20
finish. Yeah,
some minutes long.
yeah. Is we gonna finish the song? Um, so eventually, one of the bandmates and he have an argument because he just wants to go home, and he goes out and
I
he's
want to say it's Chris, and he goes to the grill. He's cooking on the grill.
yeah,
Um,
it is Chris.
yeah,
Yep.
and so yeah, he
He's
goes out to the grill. He's like, "Fucking Dave, can't even cook fucking meat."
yeah, and that's his recurring joke,
Yeah,
brought back from earlier. And then Dave shows up and slams his head into the grill a few times, and I think that's it, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This one's actually
this
pretty
one's
weak
pretty
sauce
tame, yeah.
too. But
Except the next time you see Dave devouring raw meat, it's like it's Chris. He's eating Chris.
right,
It's like a half a body on the table, and he's just pulling at flesh. um, all right. So what happens next? So Chris is gone. He forces them back into to record, and it's late at night, and they all want to be asleep. Like even Pat is in his pajamas, and he's like, "Come on, Dave." And they have this big fight, Pat and Dave, where Pat says no, and Dave's like, "What'd you just say to me? I'm a motherfucking rock star. I get whatever I want." VIP parking for life. So eventually Pat gives in. He's like, "Fuck it, fine, I'll do it if you just stop being a dick." And
Mm.
then they start recording some more. And man, this is where it eventually will start to get crazy, right?
Yeah.
Um, there's like a book that they talk to Whitney, right? So they go back and they talk to the neighbor again. They're like, "Yo, what's going on? Dave's freaking out," and or she calls them over because she sees Dave freaking out, one or the other.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Look, I didn't tell you this guy's before, but Dream Widow, the reason they didn't finish the album was because the lead singer killed everybody. He and I were lovers at the time. That's how I know all this information intimately. Um, and you can't let him finish the song. You got to stop him. This is how you stop him. You got to get the book. Blah. You got to read the passage from the book. So now we have a mission, right? And the band splits up at this point. So we get
Rami. Yeah.
Rami. Rami, I'll stay with Whitney to make sure Dave doesn't get to her.
Right.
And then Taylor has to go keep Dave busy by finishing the drum tracks because the drum tracks aren't
Yes.
done yet. So Pat and Nate are going to go and find the book in the basement, and they're going to figure out how to read this passage and this curse or whatever. So we get some good kills now.
Hmm.
So first, Whitney and Remy.
This one was really cool.
This one was once again excellent. So like a little cheesy CG when the Shaw first came up, but then full animatronics because they're getting down and missionary style, and like Dave's under the bed, and they're like, and they did talk about Dave before this happened too, so Dave even has some information now. But
Yeah.
the chainsaw comes up through both of their heads, and that's the like split second of bad CG. But then the camera changes, and it cuts down both their bodies all the way down, and they both split open and like kind of collapse onto the bed. And that was all practical and fucking awesome.
Yeah. Really cool.
Still not the best kill in the movie. We will get to the best kill in the movie in a second. It's coming right up. So Taylor is looking for Dave. Dave shows up because obviously he just killed those two. Um, Taylor's like, he's like, I want Taylor, let's finish the drum tracks. Taylor continues to stall. No, I don't want to do it. He's like, fine, I'll do it. They start to do it. He fucks it up a couple times. Dave's like, I think you're doing this on purpose. And he gives him a bunch of shit about, we're drummers, you and me. We get it. Those fucks don't know anything about music, right? And
Yeah.
Taylor, for whatever reason, Taylor gets pissed off enough to, fine, I'll just finish the fucking drum track. So he does, and then Taylor's like, "You're not Dave. You've changed. There's fuck this, fuck that." He's all pissed off. He wants to go home, and Dave just looks at him and says, "That's okay, Taylor, because you're done." And he takes the symbol, and this is the best kill in the movie. And he throws the symbol, and it goes right through the mouth into the wall, and then from mouth down, the body slides down the wall. This
Mhm.
entire effect was practical. There was no CG here at all, and it was so good. Oh my god. You could watch this kill on repeat. It's so good. Like, it is excellent.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, when you finally, if you haven't seen the movie, which once again, we recommend that you watch the movies before you watch the show because you're going to get the whole thing spoiled for you. Uh, it's amazing. This was my favorite kill. I definitely rewound it the first time I watched it.
Yeah. Just to see
Yeah,
it again.
just to see it again. It was because I mean the practical effects were so good, so good. I
Hmm.
mean like the face of Taylor Hawkins on the mannequin, like it didn't change. I mean obviously like so it's the camera trick of like the mannequin was already there with the head with the thing
Right.
in the wall. Like you just move the
Yeah.
camera real fast, right? And then the bottom half, the mouth down just slides down the wall, and the blood shoots up from the neck or
Hmm.
from the from the mouth or the bottom of the head
Yeah.
piece there. And oh god, it was. And then then you got blood coming down too, and then
Yeah.
it's filling the wall. Like it just
It was really cool.
the practical effects off the charts in this movie. for a horror comedy starring the Foo Fighters, some of the stuff in this movie had no right to be as good as it was.
Sure,
Um,
that's fair.
right.
Yeah, the production value of a lot of the things that they were doing uh, was high.
Yeah. Okay. So Pat and Nate find the book. They meet. They need a body of holy water, so they go to the pool,
Mm-hmm.
and the right to make it holy is right there in the book. So they start to bless it, and that's where Dave meets them at the pool, and the four shadow figures show up behind him with the glowing red eyes. The shadow figures have been a recurring force.
Yeah, just
Not
around.
they didn't really do much besides
No.
exist. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, they're just there.
so he blesses the water, and he starts the rite to possess to get Dave back to normal, and then he tries to jump the pool, right?
Yeah.
To get at them, and something interrupts him. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember how, but he
Does he
falls
get
in, right?
does he get struck by lightning because he finishes the passage, something like that? Maybe it's a bolt of
Maybe that's what it is.
something like that, or maybe it's a bolt from the book, or maybe he throws the book and it hits him, or something like that. Anyway, he falls in and he comes out as Dave. Dave's normal. He has been cleansed.
Yeah, whatever
Um,
spell they were working on or incantation,
right.
it seems to have taken effect.
Yeah. And so this is where this movie's attention to detail is so good because I think a lot of horror movies would have overlooked this fact.
Yeah.
Dave Grohl's been eating raw meat for a month. So he's back as Dave for a moment because he's like I went into the basement. That was the last thing I remember. And then his stomach gargles, and he drops to his knees, and he projectile vomits like raw meat for like a minute. And it's like a gratuitous scene, and it's obviously
Yeah.
played for comedy, but at the same time, you're like, oh yeah, duh. Like, why have I not seen this before? Why have I not? Because how many times have characters, while they were possessed, eaten raw meat and then become unpossessed, and they've got
Yeah.
there's no gastrointestinal shit going on.
Right.
Like,
Smart.
yeah, yeah, for once again a horror comedy starring the Foo Fighters,
Hmm.
it surprised me many times. All right, so he did finish the song though, and because he finished the song, the demon materializes, and it is the gardener we saw earlier. It is also the lead singer to Dream Widow,
Yeah, the
um,
caretaker, right?
the caretaker. Yes. To which Dave Grohl just looks at him and is like, "You fucking dick," and like tackles him and punches him to death, just with one, just keeps punching him until he dies. He just kills the demon. There's not a fight. He just
No.
pummels it. And when it dies, the four black demon ghost soul things turn into the four other band members. Jenna Ortega picks up the book. She, you hear in a ghostly voice of Jenna Ortega that the song is done, the curse is lifted, thank you, and they all kind of wisp away.
Hmm.
Um, and you're like, wow, that was fucking crazy. Is it over? Just like the Lord of the Rings that you mentioned earlier. No, it's not over. Because Jeff Garland and Barbara have to show up,
Right.
and they're in they're in hoods with ceremonial daggers, and Jeff comes to Dave first, and he's like, "Did you finish the song?" And Dave's like, "No, I couldn't finish the song." And then they start to fight. And this is it's a funny fight. There's some ball kicking, and they throw each
Yeah.
other around a bit.
It's
Well,
it's funny to consider Jeff Garland and Dave Grohl physically
if it's
altercating.
yeah, yeah, it's a funny fight scene. While this is going on, Nate and Pat are trying to leave via van, which they don't have the keys for. So because Dave took everyone's keys and cell phones and locked them up earlier, um, so Pat goes under it to try to hotwire it. and he's like Nate, you got to hit the gas when the wires connect, and he keeps going, he
Yeah.
keeps going, he keeps going. Barbara's like closing in on the van with her dagger, and he keeps going, he keeps going. Barbara's closing in, and he goes, "Ready, ready, now!" And he pushes this wire up, and it comes out of the dash right into Nate's eye. He slams on the gas and backs over uh, Pat's head.
A fucking gross head under a
Head,
tire
yeah,
effect.
and full practical, no
Full
CG here.
practical,
Yeah,
super gnarly,
yeah,
mouth, nose pieces like sticking in front, and it just like it was a great
yeah,
take that they got. They got really lucky with that fucking thing exploded.
yeah. He backs over Barbara, and then he's like, "Oh my God, I hit someone." He gets out of the car. Barbara pops up, stabs and kills Nate, and then dies. Comes back to Jeff and Dave. Everyone's dead except for Jeff and Dave. Um, and Jeff's like, "You finished the song, didn't you? Didn't you?" And it starts to rain, and he sits down, defeated. Dave sits down on the bench, defeated, and he doesn't admit that he finished the song, but you know that he did. And fade to black, but not credits. It's not over yet. The third ending. The hobbits have yet, and the elves have yet to sail into the west.
Yeah,
Was it? I think 2 years later or 1 year later is the fade to black, and it's it's that guy with his headset on and a clipboard, and he knocks on the Stars dressing room. It says, "Mr. Grohl, it's time to go out. They're calling your name. You got a packed house out there." And he's just sitting there looking depressed and defeated. Um, and I think I don't think if he smiles, but he definitely opens his mouth, and it's got those jagged demon teeth, and
yeah,
does a quick zoom in, and it fades to black.
yeah.
All right, so we did the play-by-play on that one because it was easy
Sure.
and pretty short, right?
Yeah, it was straightforward.
Yeah. Um, so I loved this movie, as I said, and I've said a few times already. I thought it was very funny. I loved the practical effects. Um, the Taylor death scene was definitely the best as far as practical effects go. Um, the comedy was tight. I mean, if anything was lacking, the story was a little whatever. Um, but the cast was great. Like I thought the Foo Fighters were great. All the cameos. Yeah, I just thought it was overall a good movie. I have to give it a 7. I know you're not going to give it a 7, but that's okay.
Uh, no, yeah, it is okay. It just didn't click for me. I wasn't excited about it. Like I don't know, maybe I just had made my mind up before I even watched it because I was just not looking forward to it. And so I
Right.
might have just gone, this could have been like a scenario where, like we talked about before, where you just go into it with a different kind of mindset and you're not looking to have fun. It's like like you get in a fight with your girl or your partner and you're about to go to some event or party and you kind of painted your night out and you know you're not going to have a good time and you don't because you kind of went out with that energy. I think that
Sure.
I kind of might have watched this movie with that energy where I was forward to it. And so my first viewing, I'm giving it a 3.
Whoa, worse than Superhost?
I can acknowledge the craft and a lot of the things that they did. All the points that you make are valid. I don't think the humor is very good in many instances. It's fine. Um, but I enjoyed Superhost more. And
Okay.
so I don't know if it was just that like it was like too uh I don't know. It just didn't land with me. I can acknowledge critically all the things that you said and I can't argue entirely. It just subjectively didn't land the same way. And so, at least on this first viewing, a 3. I think under certain circumstances, maybe if I'm watching this with you and hanging out and having a couple of drinks or whatever, I probably
Right.
would get into it and have more of a fun time. But watching it alone, at home on a weekend in the middle of the day or whatever, it just didn't do
Didn't do
anything,
it.
you know.
Okay.
So I think
All
that
right.
that really impacted it. So
Hey, it's yeah,
I will
it's
give it another shot uh, under the right circumstances, and I think I might feel differently about it.
well, around award season, our award season, our version of award season, when we talk about horror comedies, yeah, you're gonna have to watch it again because I mean, not that I don't think a horror comedy is going to come out this year that's not going to be better. I'm sure there will be
Hmm.
better, but I would maybe put it in contention. I think it was for a horror comedy, it was super solid. All right,
I can't disagree with that. I can't.
so um, we had Superhost at a 5 and a 4,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
and Studio 666 at a 7 and a 3, um, and that
So two
was
middle of the roads,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
two fives roughly.
I'm recommending people go see Studio 666 as well as pick up Dream Widow or at least listen to it on Spotify. Also, rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins. Once again, not a big Foo Fighters fan, but after seeing you in the movie and listening to Dream Widow, you yeah, and I also think that he was Dave Grohl's like best friend. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's got to be hard for Dave.
Yeah, he
So
fucking slayed on the drums, dude. Like for, Dave is obviously extremely familiar with drums and pretty much most instruments. Um, for him to the people that he surrounds himself with for the most part are very adept at what they do, and he was great at drums. Yeah, he killed it,
mm.
especially with the Dream Widow. Like there's some intense fucking drumming.
Oh yeah, that album is crazy good. Like not just like impressive as like Foo Fighters, like this alt rock band playing a metal album, but just like in terms of metal,
Yeah.
is an excellent album. All right, so with that, episode 17 in the can. For the podcast for the recently deceased, I'm Nate Roberts.
I am Rodney Godek. Take care.
And we'll see you next week.